Yo, do we all have aviators, first of all?
Ah, man.
I have some in the car.
Alex usually has his.
I do.
I mean, do we do that? Nah, it's all right.
I'll go to the car and see if I have a pair.
It's all right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. My name is Robert Puglisi.
Hi, Rich Roy.
And today we have Alex Kahn.
Thank you.
This is the No Charisma Podcast. Thanks for coming, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
How's it going? How's the day?
It's going. Just got off of work.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And you record another podcast. That's work,
Yep,
right?
that is work, yeah.
Shit, how'd that go?
Went good. Life is good.
Well,
when you're recording podcasts, life is good.
That's
that-
your work?
Is that a Snapple
It's work,
bottle?
yeah. Is that a Snapple bottle?
I think
Yeah.
that's under a Snapple cap. Mm-hmm. Life is recording podcast. It's good. Yeah, what is your job? What do you do?
I do podcasts. I do tech work for other podcasts. I run sound for like a lot of comedy shows and stuff too.
Oh, okay.
Ran sound at the Improv for like 5 years.
Gotcha.
Most recent, the last big client I had was I was doing Adam Carolla's videos for a season, for football season essentially. He wanted to work Sundays, so
Was it his podcast? Or
yeah, it
another
was
thing?
the Adam Carolla show. But
Oh, that's cool.
they're normally a day behind, kind of. So he was trying to do Sunday morning so he could watch football right after.
I see. That makes
So
sense.
I had a job.
That's cool. That's what you do, sort of.
Yeah, I do sound.
Yeah.
For like TV, movies.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not bad.
So that's cool. We're pretty cool. Rob, what do you do for work?
Oh, wait, tables.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, if I'm going to be honest with you. The way I do it is impressive.
You don't technically have the job yet, right? 'Cause
No,
you
I
keep-
might not get it.
You keep failing the test.
I failed the test twice, but the point is...
What test did
It's
you?
a fucking menu test. It's ridiculous.
He keeps failing.
What are you failing?
The
Sauces are hard.
It's not even like
Americans love their sauces, dude.
that. I know all the menu. It's just my general attitude.
Oh, that's really bad.
No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding. It's like one of those menus where everything is... like an Eggs Benedict is a cool name that isn't Eggs Benedict. So I have to memorize every dumb name that they fucking came up with to like be like, when he's like, well, let me have a drunk uncle. And you're like,
Can we look up the menu on this podcast, or would you rather not?
I don't care. It's all like,
You had the paper, but you probably don't have it.
yeah, I don't. It's all
I'll
like
bring it up.
Tequila Sunrise and shit like that.
yeah, yeah.
It's stupid.
I'll bring it up so you don't have to say the name.
Yeah, whatever. So
Sounds
that's what
fun.
I'm doing.
Yeah.
Oh, it fucking sucks, dude.
How long you been serving?
Sucks. Pretty much the whole time I've been out here,
Yeah.
like 9 years. And
How many servers have you fucked?
That's a fine question, my friend. That's a fine one. Honestly, low-ish.
That's hard to believe.
There's been.
That's
I'll
true.
give you, I'll
That
give you
is
an
hard to
honest
believe.
number. At that job, nobody liked me. One there. I think one.
Really?
That's
Really
It's wild.
surprising.
yeah. That's pretty.
Now that you've drawn my attention to it, it's wild.
The
would
restaurant.
think-
Go ahead.
I would think that should be your stomping ground as opposed to the place where you want to have a career.
No, I like to. I abide by the rule of always shit where you eat.
Yeah.
That's
no.
the kind of guy I am. I'm half German, so it makes sense.
You know.
But yeah, it's more like here's what it is when it comes to the restaurant thing is they go out and drink and party, and I don't drink. So I don't I'm not around for those hours, you know?
That is
Yeah.
yeah.
I work and then I go home.
You-
I don't want to hang out with you losers.
I mean, the funny thing about the restaurant industry is it is literally just jobs for drunks.
Yeah.
So, it's very much it's for low functioning alcoholics, they
Yeah.
can all function in a bar.
Yeah,
definitely.
and that's why they always end up fucking each other and
Right.
doing coke together. So
yeah,
it's
it's just dual addictions, just
yeah.
trauma bonding constantly.
Seems like you're one of the better men there.
No, not at all. I just don't drink. But there are so many other vices in this world.
He's just miserable. He doesn't
yeah,
drink,
yeah.
so he's just there and mad.
Yeah.
Dude, I fucking hate it. I hate waiting tables. Have you ever done it?
No, I haven't.
Good for you. Did you go to college for audio shit?
No, I didn't. I went to college to drop out. It was a very short run business school in UNLV in Vegas.
Nice.
But no,
Oh,
I
yeah, you're
worked
from Vegas.
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
No, you know how a lot of people get started in AV is in churches.
Sure, really?
I mean, like even they call it worship technologies at like the biggest convention for AV. Like if you go to Infocom, the room where all the cool shit is in the worship technologies room.
That makes sense.
I learned from my my cousin's husband did it through the church, and I ended up working with him at one point, and it just
So he just taught you
Yeah.
by proxy.
But they don't just pray until it works.
no.
There's actually wires and stuff.
There's some
That's
science involved in
crazy.
the church.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah.
I mean, if you believe in the Lord, you should provide.
Yeah, I would have figured
Yeah.
Jesus would amplify our voice.
Well, listen, it's very important that we get some technology down. So I went to this church in Vegas, my family did, called Central. It was like the first, it was not mega by any means, not Texas-sized mega, first big, crazy church out there. And they were the first people in Vegas to have a DMB audio system installed in a building that didn't move.
Dave Matthews Band.
400, yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
400. These things are like, you need $9,000 per speaker between the amp and the speaker. They're crazy.
Okay.
And
Wow.
they had like a $400,000 sound system installed in this church. So yeah, technology is important because you got to spend all that money you fleece from people. You know, you got to
Listen, we got no taxes, but somehow still need tax write-offs.
Yeah.
You can only have
We
so
have-
many jets.
Yeah, we have a $400,000 sound system that we're gonna play a very soft acoustic guitar through. Can you install
Some
it? Or
guy
can you not?
whispering about Jesus over an acoustic. That's fucking.
So yeah, no. Mr. T came once though. Mr. T spoke in that sound system.
For real?
So we
He's a
made
Christian
it.
man.
I think he's a con man. You know,
They
like-
hired him for
yeah.
whatever reason.
Interesting.
He said, "I want people to know me for not at the gold around my neck, but the gold in my heart." And I walked out.
He has gold arteries. He actually had.
Yeah, gold
that's
arteries,
the real
yeah.
bling nowadays instead of teeth. they're
You
doing
walked
gold
out because that
arteries.
was the last good thing you
Yeah.
needed to hear.
Yeah, no.
That's it. You
Good
were
for
done.
life.
Yeah.
Since then, he's been a
I
virtuous
walked out.
man.
'Cause that was when I shot up the church. I don't know if you can make that. I don't know if you guys
Sure.
are going on YouTube or not, but
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
all right.
They haven't shut us down yet.
Yeah.
They don't know we're there. I think it's most of it. That's fucking crazy, dude. Yeah, I don't know. That whole, it's wild to me that people are like cool with their pastor being a multimillionaire, and there's no part of them that's like, a little weird.
Yeah.
You know? Like guys that own 7 Cadillacs, and he's preaching about the importance of the Lord.
Do you know who Kenneth Copeland is? Are you familiar with this guy?
Yeah.
No.
Kenneth Copeland owns like a ranch outside of Dallas, and he's this massive ministry, and he's one of those like televangelist kind of guys. He, if you remember the guy with like the crazy coked out snake eyes who blew COVID off the planet, do you
I
remember?
think so, yeah.
So, I'm COVID, I blow you out.
Yeah, he did
That's
that.
him, dude. They're literally like who the Righteous Gemstones are
Okay.
kind of based on, and it's just wild because you watch like his socially distanced sermons online at the beginning were so funny because he would just it'd be like him and like 5 people in the room with him, and they'd just be like, it's almost like how Zoom comedy was. He has no audience to
Right.
ride. So he's got 6 dorks in the room that just like hype man him up. And it's, he's a crook too. They all,
It's so wild to me. Like how what's his name, Joel Osteen?
Yeah.
Well, nobody that worships there is like, dude, why are you worth this much fucking money? What is the rationalization if you're a member of that church to be like, that's okay?
I believe they pitch it as like paying tithes to
Tithing
the
to the
church
church.
brings you closer to heaven.
Yeah.
So they're like, if you don't give us money, you're not.
No, I get that.
Oh, well, that's
Makes
what they
sense
believe.
why they give the money. But the guy at the top of it
like
is
the
not
Clinton
supposed to be a
Foundation.
multimillionaire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the tithing to the church is just to keep the church going. That's the idea of it.
Yeah.
well, it
And
should
just spread
sustain.
the word of the Lord.
It should sustain. It shouldn't bring the leader abundance.
Yeah, maybe that's how they get away with it. Well, it's helping me spread the word.
Yeah.
I think that's
With all
what he
these
said.
jets, it helps me
Yeah.
spread the word.
Well, I just started Righteous Gemstones. I'd never seen
Dude,
it.
I tried. I hate it.
So
boring.
the first scene is them like baptizing 5,000 Chinese people in a wave pool, and they literally go back to the church and they're like, "Look what your money did. We did." And no, they went on vacation to China
Right.
and then hung out in dirty water for a few hours with you know. So it's it's all crookery. I don't know. I grew up around it and it was fun to watch, but my family was very much a foot out, but trying to get us to be a foot in, you know? And, yeah.
I
I
never-
commit either way.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I never did any of it. I was never baptized, and it's weird because my parents are both Catholic.
Catholics, good Catholic people.
Never happened. Yeah, well, they didn't go to church though. My dad was like, he's a conservative. They're both conservatives. He by the book as far as most
Fox
of those beliefs.
News' church.
Loves it.
Oh, man.
Favorite thing in the world. God, he loves it. Oh man, he loves it. Do you hear that Shane Gillis? Do you see his special?
Yes.
And he talks about how every dad is just watching Fox News trying to get one fact.
Oh, yeah.
It's so accurate. It's my father, dude.
Well, yeah, mine too. I think my dad's moved to OAN now, so things are getting pretty serious. You know,
Oh,
Which one is that?
that's
One American network.
it's the only one further than Fox.
It's when people are like, Fox is too commercial.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I like that.
It's like,
that.
yeah. I mean, it's people who want. I think Fox actually fucked up because during Trump, they called a lot of red states early for Biden, and they lost. A lot of people were like, "Oh, fuck you! You guys are just the system," you know. So I think that's why a lot of your red staters were like, "No, we're going deeper." I keep trying to get. I'm like, tell my dad, I'm like, why don't you go
Go on away, dude.
Yeah.
Go just watch old Hitler
Yeah.
footage. That's what I watch. I mean, it's where I get my news.
Yeah.
OAN just lost a ton of money. They got pulled from Viacom or Turner or something
Yeah.
like that.
I don't think that should happen either. I think you should be able to say whatever insane misinformation you want, and people like,
Yeah,
dude,
I
fuck
guess.
that. If you're dumb enough to believe it,
Yeah,
that's the society we live in. You don't get to choose.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm pretty pumped
People
about.
have been getting conned for all of eternity.
Yeah, you're dumb.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
You're pumped about, sorry.
No, you're good. I'm pumped about Elon buying Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's like free speech for everyone. It's going to be chaos, dude.
Everyone's so mad on
It's gonna be
Instagram.
that's because they're liberal retards.
They're so mad.
It's going to be the Wild West. How can you be, if you're a liberal person, like a real liberal person, and you believe that word, how do you have that word as your demographic, but then you don't believe in free speech?
Yeah.
That makes no fucking sense.
Well, because now it's, the funny thing is, it's always whoever's in charge are the assholes. When it was
Yeah.
Bush, they were the assholes. Then it's always them. It's people get power drunk, you know, because the left used to be anti-war, pro-free speech. They used to be completely against sending low-wage jobs overseas because that was fucking poor people. And now they call you xenophobic for, you know, like, it's
It
just.
makes no sense.
No, it
That's-
doesn't.
But that's the problem with the left and why it's more difficult to, like, the right to a certain degree has these set beliefs, and they come from a little book called the Bible.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Ever heard of it?
The left is it's just whatever.
The Quran.
Fucking. They're just more so. Yeah, the left is just like whatever the fucking fancy of the time is, and it changes drastically.
Yeah.
and that's
Well,
why it's difficult to elect.
Have you ever heard
anyone
that
to
term, politics is downstream of culture?
Yeah.
It's essentially just saying that, yeah, once 51% of society thinks
100%
something, most of the politicians will start to lean that way. So
course.
it's like,
Yeah.
most conservatives now are like, yeah, we don't care about gay people. Like,
You
whatever.
have to be that way because you won't
Yeah.
get elected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the only ones who are anti-gay people are very much like...
Right.
Like wrestling,
Oh.
yeah, but they're like WWE characters. It's like,
Yeah.
what's her name? Oh, not Kimberly Guilfoyle. Who's the one in Florida that everyone gets worked up over?
Buchanan?
No,
Marjorie
fucking
Taylor
Greene.
Greene?
Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, it's like I think at some point she's just like, I'm trying to like how
is what I
how
mean.
some comics are like, I'm gonna make a name in this. I'm just
course.
gonna say the most
Of course.
inflammatory, you know.
She says whatever
Yeah.
her base will like. That's what they all do.
And then
But
AOC's like, I'm gonna be alt
The
comedy.
opposite. The
Yeah.
opposite.
She
That's
is all
literally what
comedy.
it is.
Yeah.
It's just saying the crazy shit online so that people will be like, oh, that's crazy. I guess whatever. I'll pay attention to that. And that's what's difficult about trying to be like a reasonable human being and get elected. You can't because nobody will give a fuck.
No.
You have to be, it has to be headlines
Inflammatory.
and fucking nonsense WWE stuff.
So you think people are mostly mad about Twitter because like they're afraid Trump's coming back?
They're mad for two reasons. One, he's a rich white dude. That's the number one.
They don't like that.
Whether
I
or
do
not
see a
that's
lot-
the truth, that's the number one. The second thing is, yeah, potentially that there will be no limiting on who can use it and who can't, and that it will bring this, that there is this secret KKK million person thing existing in America just looking for a place to talk. And that's why, like, that there's like 8 KKK members.
Apparently not so secret now.
Have you
Fuck,
have
we gotta
you
change
s-
the names.
I used to say this and people didn't believe me, and the funny thing is the numbers have all been removed. If you go look up big old Charlottesville, if you go look up numbers for protesters, I remember the numbers being about 1,200. It was about 8 to 6, 8 to 4 split, like 400 counter protests. There was like 800 people who came from all over the country.
All over the country.
Yeah, 800 people.
And not all of
But
those
that-
dudes were alt right. Not all of them.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it was, I mean, yeah, not all of them, no. And the other crazy thing is they've removed the numbers. Like, go look for Charlottesville numbers. They're not in any news story. There's no way in hell you wrote a news story while Charlottesville was happening and you didn't tell society how many people were there.
That's a big part of it. You know what's the wildest shit
Editing.
about that?
You shouldn't be. Honestly, we need to fucking. You shouldn't be allowed to edit published news stories. You should have to post underneath it with a retraction.
Yeah,
or a
footnote,
correction.
right.
Yeah.
You know what's the wildest shit about that is the biggest thing that came out of that, besides, the fucking person dying, was the Trump speech, right? Where he goes, good people on both sides. If you watch that video...
It's literally 3-minute clip.
Dude,
Yeah.
if you watch it, he goes, there's good people on both sides. Of course, I don't mean the Nazis.
Yeah.
Right after.
Yeah.
But dude, I didn't watch it because I was just like,
I had
he's
no
a fucking
idea.
psycho.
For a long time, I had no
years,
idea.
I was like, it's a weird thing to say, Trump. Literally, the next breath, he goes, I'm not talking about the alt-right or the white nationalists.
You only have to watch 1 minute of that video to watch him condemning white nationalism.
It's the next sentence.
But you know what's funny is people still I have like because I try to approach it calmly with people where I'll be like,
Not me,
okay,
I go full violence.
Yeah. Well, but I'll be like, okay, if you're so sure, let's watch a 3-minute clip together.
Mm-hmm.
A 3-minute clip together. And a lot of people don't want to know. I think
No, you don't wanna
I think
know.
a lot of people are very aware of the fact that they're being bullshitted. They just don't want to be confronted. They're like, I'm just going with it.
But it's also, you don't want, the biggest thing in America is like, you got to be able to argue your point well, and that is a big part of your personality, especially if you're younger.
Mm-hmm.
And having that challenged in any way, you don't want to do. So you're
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
whatever, whether or not that's the case, he's still a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's also very black and white for some. Like, they're wrong, we're right.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't care what clips
Yeah.
you play me. They're evil. I am on the side
I get
of
that.
good.
Yeah.
So
That's the
there's
way I
no
was when
argument
I
to
was
be
a young
made.
boy. It was like us versus the establishment.
Yeah.
Do you remember PETA when we were kids? Like, PETA was like putting out gory animal stickers and shit. You know what I mean? Like, they were all over my high school. It's just always been like, let's shock teenagers and let's fucking rile up the youth and let's send them to war. Let's have them.
Yeah. And that's, it's like difficult though, because like there is good shit that has come out of being that too. Like, as much as I despise like the super woke stuff, especially when it comes to comedy, like there is good things that have come out of it. Clear, like,
Yeah.
you fucking go overway, like, we'll deal with all of this.
Yeah, it's overcorrection.
But then, like, it's good shit comes out of it, you know, like, pro.
Yeah, like you
gay
can find
rights and all
tranny
that stuff.
hookers everywhere
They're
now.
all over the place.
Thank God
Yeah.
for that, dude. It was so hard before.
I know, really, like needle in a haystack, and but yeah, so
I'm finding so many more needles in haystacks now, too.
really
So many
Yeah.
used, too.
coincidental.
Which is awesome.
Use needles. I like it.
Opioid epidemic's huge in this country. Yeah, so I don't know. It's fucking annoying, but also it's like, yeah, they are doing good at the same time. But just, I don't even give it. All at the end of the day, just shut the fuck up about comedy. Just
Yeah,
about
honestly. Well, and the funny thing is, people are always like, "Well, you're punching down," and I'm like, "No. You think I'm punching down, which is indicative of how you feel about the people I'm
Right,
talking
you think
about.
you're better than them.
No, you think white straight male is higher than black whatever
And
Asian.
I don't believe that.
I don't. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to punch any direction. I'm just trying to knock the audience out. I'm fucking around.
Wait.
You know,
We don't believe that?
What?
not on camera.
Oh,
Publicly, no.
sorry.
No, it's also
Got
like,
confused.
yeah, no, you're right, because it's also like, but then at the same time, dude, you can be a church-going, good member of society. Literally, all you do is dedicate yourself to service and like fucked up jokes. Mm-hmm. Both of those things can exist in a person. You're still a good person. It's funny seeing a baby fall. We can all agree. Mm-hmm. Seeing an old lady fall will always be hilarious.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to deconstruct that down to like who you are as a personality type, that's such a fucking extrapolation of facts. It's like, nah, it's just funny. There's no other explanation other than like, or like when people get mad, like people get mad over whatever, like you doing a voice or an impression of a different. It's like, dude, the sound is funny.
Yes.
That's all there is. There's nothing beyond like, oh, that means that you think they're stupid and therefore shouldn't
You're
be allowed
taking
to
a
vote.
tool for humor.
It's just
Yeah.
noises or
Yes.
like that's fucking. I don't know why it's funny, but did you ever consider? No,
No.
that's not what I'm doing. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to laugh. I'm not trying to consider. I consider all day. This is the time to not consider. That's what fucking bothers me. It's like, dude, why can't?
Well, that's what a lot of this town misses about comedy is once you're out of this town, everyone has a job again, and people are literally,
People are normal.
yeah, they are just want lightheartedness for an hour because they're gonna work 60 hours with their hands next week, and they don't really care, And
Yeah.
I was a door guy at the Comedy Works in Denver, and you would see these LA acts come through town and just like. Just lost on the whole audience.
Really?
Natasha Leggero makes no sense to the average, married
interesting.
couple in Denver. Denver, the city is blue.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's just very like, I watched Greg Proops walk 200 people.
Did you really? Yeah. What did he do? Is it just pure anti-Trump stuff?
No. It was Veterans Day weekend. We would give out Sunday show tickets, free tickets to the troops, and he'd been doing all weekend. He'd been doing anti-gun shit, and then on Sunday, all the fucking Colorado, hillbilly woods troops come out, and he just starts.
Why did they go to a Greg Proop show?
They went to the
was free.
show that was free on Veterans Day. So
That's a mismatch by the club then.
yeah, honestly, yeah. But the funny thing is Greg Proop's just laying into this gun shit, and he's doing it for a while, and no one heckles him. No one's at one point, one dude just kind of goes, "Fuck this," just gets up and walks out, and 200 people followed him.
Wow.
What did Greg Proop do?
Lost his mind.
Really?
He's like, all the people that stayed, he's like, "You're fucking baby killers too." Like, fuck it. He like tripled down.
You can't not.
He
I
did
mean, in that moment, as a comedian, I'm still on his side.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can't. What else are you gonna do? Be like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's fucking.
Stick to
What you
it.
can do is, if you've been doing this for 20, 30 years, you can just read the room.
Know your audience, yeah.
I mean,
Did they tell him that it was? I think that might have been the
I'm
club
sure,
fucking up.
Possibly, but who knows?
Yeah, sure.
It could have come down to availability, and it's probably a slight oversight, but it's probably also one of those things where it's like, he was on the fucking improv show on TV. Let
Yep.
him talk to the,
Was he up until that point getting laughs? Like, was it going all right?
It's going all right. I mean, he had a good weekend, but it's just funny to watch a guy lose 2/3 of the room that is considered to be unbombable. You know what I mean?
That's like one of the best clubs.
Yeah,
in the world.
everyone says
That's true.
you can't not fucking crush here.
Unless it's filled with
sucks.
veterans.
Yeah.
You're great. I hear he's opening for Trump's rallies next.
Ooh,
Proop.
Nice.
Yeah, he's got a good gig.
yeah,
So see how that goes.
just yeah.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's all fucking things.
Yeah.
Dude, and at a certain point, it's like, I'm just tired. I'm tired of even thinking about any of it. I'm just tired. I went on a date last week, and
What happened to your brain for a second?
I was trying to decide whether or not I should talk about this.
I had a feeling.
Yeah.
And so whatever, it was going fine. And the way that I talk to people is that it's a debate. I like debating. It's fun. It's just where I grew up. And that's how kind of we were talking about. We were talking about woke stuff, and this person was like kind of on the other side, but you're making some good points, blah, blah, blah. And then, so it was all right. It was, fine. But then she was like, well, how do you feel about Louis? And I was like, oh, this date's over. Because I was like, the first thing I said was like, and this is what I say with all of them. Like, I wasn't there, but, and as soon as I said that, she was like, you weren't there? I was like, no, neither were you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, I can't deal with people who for me, like, debating shit has nothing to do with who I am also, really. Like, I'll take the opposite side of a debate just for fun.
Yeah.
And but people out here, it's like they get so emotionally upset about shit. And she got mad or whatever. And then I was like, well, it's just because you never lived through winter. You've been in fucking the West Coast your whole life, And I think there's some truth to that.
Maybe.
But yeah, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it, like, with girls, with a lot of people. And I'm tired of, like, having it be, like, a thing that is going on in comedy. It'd be so fun if we could just
Have
do whatever the fuck we want.
be fun again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it's probably always been going on to a certain extent.
I think it's in the process of swinging, and I think when it does swing, I think it's going to swing hard.
That'd be interesting.
Like because there was a time where like political comedy was like it was David Cross and and
Louis
Hari Kondabolu. Yeah, like it was all these like it was almost like alty. It was kind of like nerdy, and now it's very like it's like the hot take economy.
Right.
But I think people are just exhausted by it. I don't think it, and it's gotten to the point where it contradicts itself so often now that it's like, oh, it's just a power struggle. Like, it's come down to Will Smith versus Chris Rock in the culture war, and it's like, who fucking cares? Like,
it's really just
you showed your hand.
It's a battle for clicks and views.
Yeah.
That's all it is. We gotta take a camera break real quick.
What do they say about like the old movie trope, like detective movie trope about like you're too close to the conflict of interest.
Yeah.
You have a conflict of interest. Like taking money from the government and being able to say what the government should do with money is kind of a conflict of interest.
Right.
So
yeah, I don't know. It's all fucking annoying. That was one of the points I made with this person when I was on the day. It was like, because I forgot what we got into, but I was like, here's the deal. Right now, what's popular or what's being pushed as like a thing that is a personality type is being a victim, right? And it's like, well, if you were victimized in any way, we'll listen to you, which is a good thing, that idea. But what it's becoming in social media is you're more important, or your voice is more important on the subject at hand, which is not the case.
No.
If you've been victimized, generally, your opinion is probably pretty skewed.
Pretty biased, yeah.
Pretty fucked up, which is understandable, and you should still get help for all that shit. But the ultimate goal is to not be a fucking victim. And this girl was like, well, that sounds harsh. And I was like, yeah. So
coming
from
the therapy culture where it's like
also right, yeah,
it's like, heal yourself, bitch.
Dude,
like
any therapist who's worthwhile will not advocate for being a victim. The
yeah.
whole point is to learn how to not be a fucking victim.
It's just interesting. It's like all stems from how much we like live on the internet, and that's just grown. And I think we're just at that unprecedented point where it's so accessible that we could just really scream into the void at all times.
Yeah,
and it's like. That's where it's all coming from more than anything.
Yeah, I don't even remember what life was like before this.
It was probably a lot chiller.
Was it?
I don't know. People couldn't argue as much, I guess.
I don't know.
I think we're also going through this time where, because there is so much strife and like our government is so massive and is controlling of so many resources, that I think the reason we are as charged right now is because there's a lot on the table. There's more chips on the table than there's ever been. So now we're arguing over who gets the chips. You know what I mean? And I think it's just, I think that's kind of why the 90s was so chill, right? Is because anyone who wanted a pool in their backyard could get one. And then the minute you say that, people go, well, not the inner city. And it's like, well, yeah, they're poor, duh. You know what I mean? But like, there were times of massive economic growth in this country. And people were probably pretty chill around those times because they were going to Mexico. They didn't have time for all the bullshit of the world, you know? They were hanging out. They were going on vacations. Their kids were in karate class.
And you're just not as inundated with news and like everybody just screaming at you from all sides at all times. I don't know.
You ever see kids parrot like this has always happened where it's like if your dad's a conservative, you're probably going to come out somewhat conservative. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of always been that way. But when you see kids who are like really young bringing up like very hard political topics, like that's almost abuse, man. Like why is a 9-year-old bringing up gun control to her friends? You know what I mean? Like, you've paralyzed children with this idea that every school in the country is going to get kicked in and shot up. And, it's like the funny thing is nobody's an adult and nobody has innocence either. No, children aren't children. Adults aren't adults.
Yeah. I've seen the extreme of that too. I worked on this like a docu-series show about like a bunch of like political things, a little bit of wokeness stuff, but like we went to CNN headquarters and interviewed this guy who researches extremist like militant groups in the country, and he was showing us some like recruitment videos that you can only find on the dark web, and they were like
crazy
horrifying.
shit. Yeah,
but one was like a bunch of white people congratulating the dude that shot up the Muslim church in like Florida or whatever.
Have you seen that video?
Which
was it the mosque in New Zealand?
Oh, that was what it was.
There's that guy posted body cam footage of that, and it literally looks like a third-person shooter because his arms are in front of the body camera.
Jesus.
But it's terrifying. I mean, he's literally like going through a church, mowing people down with shotgun AR, all this crazy shit, But
damn.
So these people are all like congratulating him for doing it, and they had their kids
Yeah.
on the video, like 5-year-olds being like, "Great job,
Love what you're doing."
It's like, yeah, so
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's because of social media or not, like that level of, fervor towards one group or the other. When it used to be just a half hour of news a day, as opposed to 24 hours.
Well, that's the other problem with the news on TV too. It's 24/7, so they have to constantly give you something or some reason to watch them. So it's all incendiary.
What it is though, it's literally just biological, like
Hacking.
trickery.
Yeah,
like because they talked about it, like the app companies, how like they figured out what gets the most dopamine, right? So you're not even making a choice; it's an addiction. And I was looking at this Psycho Girl's Twitter feed today, who's a comic in LA.
Which you love, so it keeps you on the phone.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm looking at it, and I'm getting angrier and angrier, and I'm like, I got to say something. And then I was like, why am I doing this?
Yep.
Who gives a shit? She doesn't matter. She sucks. She will never matter. Get off it. Like, there's no point in it, but you get that kick of like, I got it. I'm right. So I gotta be, it's like everybody thinks they're fucking Batman, Like, I gotta save this city from this misinformation with my vengeance of truth. And in reality, it's like, it just makes you feel important.
I mean, honestly, Charlottesville would be like the biggest event she's ever played, So could be, niche down,
That's true. It's just all boring at this point. It's not even worth
The only other thing I wanted to bring up about the Musk Twitter thing was like most of the stories angry people are posting are about the cost of it, and they're like, they said that if you spent $44 billion, you could end world hunger. What the fuck, Musk? And
Musk replied to that thing, and he goes, I will give you $44 billion right now if you can show me a detailed plan how this will end world hunger.
Yeah.
And they were like, what?
It's crazy. And also, why is it solely his responsibility? I don't know. I'm not on the side of mega billionaires.
Here's the thing though.
But
everybody says Bezos is the evil guy, and then Musk is the good guy. Musk is the story of Musk is to eventually be the super evil genius because everything he's doing all the good stuff, and then what's going to happen is society will keep turning on him until he eventually goes, fuck it.
Yeah.
Lasers on the moon.
Robots coming.
And I own them.
Mr. Freeze or whatever.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
I think, did you see CNN's new streaming service? It's a
Failed.
complete tank.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Their ratings are through the floor.
Mm-hmm.
He could probably buy that for less than he just bought Twitter for. Yeah. He could probably turn around.
What was on the CNN streaming service other than CNN News?
I personally, no idea.
I think that was it.
But they have their own news channel.
But it's them trying to get people that don't fucking watch TV. People.
Oh, like an app type thing.
Yeah.
I see.
I don't know. I also think just the way we used to get news is so fucking dead now. You know.
Yeah. Well, that was Norm has a great joke. It's one of the best jokes ever. It's called The News. But he goes, back in the day, the news used to be half an hour. And turns out that was about right.
Yeah.
Well, have you ever tried to keep a fire burning for 24 hours? Have you ever used a wood-burning stove?
Yeah.
It's hard to start a fire, right?
Actually, you're throwing kids in there.
Yeah.
Good analogy.
It's hard to keep a fire going all day. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of fanning. It takes
true.
a lot
it'd be interesting
a lot of wood.
If they collectively, or there was some legislation which is totally anti-free speech, but just as an experiment where you couldn't do
That's always the
incendiary
problem.
stories, just for a day and see what it was like. Where if they just reported the news without passion, without just like today in Yemen, there's an oil pipeline, and blah 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 blah, or whatever the fuck, and they just report it, and it's balanced between good things and bad things because good things happen all the time, and you never hear about them, and see what that would be like.
The funny thing is, if you just tell the truth, you'll have plenty of horrible things to say about Democrats and Republicans.
The truth is so.
Why lie?
But because it's so
because you're not going to get.
Because it's so hard to get it.
The truth is hard to get, and it's also you can't. Ultimate truth doesn't really exist because if you're witnessing it, your childhood is being filtered through whatever that fucking shit is, and then you're making a different decision than somebody else.
But the interesting thing is there are two sides to every story, and one thing I thought that was interesting you were starting to walk down this aisle of how to fix the problem. You said this is actually completely anti-free speech legislation, and the whole road to hell is paved on good intentions.
Yeah.
It's funny that a lot of people can they have that, like, right as you were saying it, you go, nah, it's gonna fall apart. You know,
Yeah,
what I
you
mean?
can't do it because
Like,
it's against everything we stand for. But really, the only way to enact any significant change like that would be a dictator of some type.
Honestly, yeah.
I'm starting to like this idea.
Wait a second,
You know-
are we onto something?
If I was in control, everything would be fine.
Ah, hell, we're onto something. I'll start doing speeches outside my fucking patio.
Wait, this isn't how the Nazis came to be, right?
We're different. We're different. We're different. We're different.
Yeah.
We're different. We're different.
No.
Yeah, so it's all fucked.
The funny thing is it does kind of, the pressure does seem to be kind of letting off.
It was the pandemic. Was a big part of it.
Well, in that
And Trump just being around.
there's this huge. I mean, I would say a lot of the fervor is because Trump's not around. You know, I mean, everything.
Who do we
I'm
get mad at?
You know, everything I'm seeing, I feel like most of the anger is where Trump isn't.
Yeah.
Did you see he did say he's not going to go on Twitter though? He's like, no,
Oh,
I'm
really?
not going to do it. Yeah.
Well, he's never lied before, so.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is he's got his own platform he's trying to push too.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is that man's an absolute crook too.
Of course.
He's just like, yo, let's make the system to where crooks win. And you're like, yeah, okay, then I'll be a crook too.
Yeah.
And then it's this funny like pull between like, there are a lot of people who are like, let's just embrace the crook life. That's America. And then a lot of people are like, we're going to get in the way of that. And you're like, yeah, but you're just going to end up giving BLM crazy real estate money. So
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough to.
there's all crooks.
It's tough because it's like, yeah, I mean, you know, businessmen who are like some of the biggest criminals as far as white collar crime and like the real damage done to the country.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Have to be allowed in a free society. You can't not have some type of capitalism where a free market exists because then it's not a free society. But at the same time, like, yeah, the unmitigated, like my dad is that way where he thinks that it should be uncontrolled at all points, like all capitalism,
free market.
and it's like, dude, that doesn't work. Like, how do you not know that doesn't work? You were around in 2008.
That makes it easily manipulated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just funny because, like, there's this idea that I don't think most people are even willing to admit how fucked up it all is either. So it's like you hear a lot of people who are like, I don't know, I just lost all of it. I lost my complete train of thought.
Well, at a certain point, it just becomes
Yeah.
like mush to where
Yeah.
it's like, what do you what's the issue? You know, what are we gonna do?
Well, and none of this shit exists in a vacuum either. You know what I mean? So it's like you start looking at like all of these conversations bleed into all of them in this very weird way.
Yeah. Where
Sorry
it's-
about that.
No, you're good.
I
It's
just
all-
did what your brain did about 40 minutes ago.
My brain does that frequently. There's some points for me where I'll have like all these thoughts and then I'll just go, what's the point?
Yeah.
I think it's called depression. I think it's called clinical depression.
Have you ever heard Stanhope talk about that? Where he's like, people are always like, oh, this is the kind of shit you used to rail on. He's like, yeah, look what it did.
I did all
Like,
that.
I gave my life to yelling about things.
And no one cared.
And I am drunk and lonely and nobody cared.
Yeah.
And fucking, what
That
are
was
we
one of
talking
his
about?
specials where he's like, I don't believe any of this shit anymore. He's like, I used to be the guy who was like, everybody was like, hey, we're hungry. And he was like, well, there's food right there. And then they wouldn't eat it. And he'd be like, all right, anyway. Yeah, it's fucking dumb.
Yeah, it's tough.
Let's go back to servers you fucked. Let's go back to servers you want to.
Who's the one?
Who's the one?
Sweet angel of a gal.
Good
Worst
call.
sex I've ever had in my
Good
life.
mo-
How
Oh,
many
okay.
restaurants have you worked in?
So many.
How many years have you worked in
Been
restaurants?
just one.
I'm fucking impressed by that.
Well, it's literally
Just by, not that I'm like some, but just sheer numbers of running into each other. Like, there was one girl, but she was like, didn't count because we had known each other before. So
Okay.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know. Well, one time when we worked at People's Choice, I don't know if that counts.
You banged somebody there?
Yeah, the manager girl.
I
forgot
don't
her
remember
name.
that. I only remember Frank, the other manager, who smoked PCP.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, he was cool.
No, she managed for like one night, one time
Oh, okay.
for some reason.
That's exactly what I mean. Restaurants are always like, we're giving the PCP guy work.
was-
I don't know, give him a dark room where most of the people are intoxicated themselves, and they won't even notice that he's on PCP.
Well,
it's
that job was insane. We were fucked up the entire time.
I've mainly worked jobs where felons work,
Yeah.
and I have no
Restaurants.
felonies.
Restaurants.
Restaurants, construction, like all that shit.
I was selling weed while delivering pizzas. I'd go get us all pills and bring them back.
That was fun. That was one of the most fun jobs I ever had.
You ever get fired?
No.
From there, you couldn't.
You
No,
couldn't.
have you ever gotten fired?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But usually it's because I just stopped showing up. That's not true. One time when I first moved here, it was a super fancy restaurant in Brentwood, and the chef was a fucking asshole. Everybody that worked there was a psycho. They acted like they were, like we were running fucking Goldman Sachs to get. It was so obnoxious. And I got into an argument with a manager. This one manager worked there. There was this chick, and she hated me. And then she quit, and this new guy got hired, and he loved me. He thought it was funny. And he was the only dude there, basically. It was all girls, and me and him. And I would just make sarcastic jokes, and he was like, all right. You can stick around, right? And I got into an argument with some guy about some dumb shit where he was like getting mad at me. I was like, I don't care, right? I'm just doing this I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
And we got into this back and forth.
Your dinner isn't my priority.
Yeah, dude, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And then it became like a big thing. We had to go into the office. And I had to talk with the manager, the GM. And I was like, dude, I got to quit because I'm going to get fired. I'm going to get fired because I'm going to say something and it's going to get me in trouble. And I know that's what's going to happen. He was like, come on, man. I like having you here. You pick any shift you want and we'll keep you on. Just pick a shift. And I was like, I'll do Saturday mornings. That's it. Because it was the busiest one. And I did that for about a month, and then I got into an argument and got fired. And he had to fire me. And I was like, I told you this would happen. And he was like, yeah, sorry about that, man. He's like, you're great, though. You're great. Love having you around. He was cool.
He's like, whatever shithole I manage next, you're there.
Yeah, I'll see you there, dude.
That's the whole restaurant industry. It's just like...
It's miserable, dude.
We all get disgraced. One person, the manager gets disgraced from here, and then we all go,
It's just a rolling down shit cycle of garbage.
Props to you to get to like being able to work in that environment though, because I remember in college I tried to get a job at one as like a busboy at this fancy ass restaurant.
Yeah,
and I was stoned all the time.
It's not a job you can do super high.
And I had zero experience, so I went in there like, oh, you pick up some dirty dishes. What's it?
No, it's
how
really
hard's
hard.
it gonna be? Yeah, I did so fucking bad in one day, and the guy like that was like training me, he, like takes me outside and he goes, "Look, man, I don't think you're really made for this. You can go back tomorrow if you want and try again." And I was like, "Nah, this ain't gonna work."
It's not easy. They did
I can't do this.
test like stress versus job, and it's either heart or brain surgeon and waiter are the two highest.
That's
because
ridiculous.
You have the least amount of control, and everything's your fault. So like there's very little you can do to mitigate damage caused. You know what I mean? And it all falls on you. It's fucking brutal.
Well, you could also say you're almost as important as a brain surgeon, so that's pretty cool.
I tell girls I'm a brain surgeon on the first day.
Might as well.
And then the third day I go, do you remember when I said that shit? Yeah, it's fucking wild. But what happens is when you've been doing it long enough, you just don't care. And then you're fine.
Yeah.
Nothing bothers you.
Well, nowadays, it's like, how can you even stick out as bad in the current crop of people working in customer service? Like, customer service is so fucking bad right now.
Dude, it's obnoxious.
It's like...
Even like barbers.
Yeah.
I got my haircut, and this girl, like a week ago.
Looks good, by the way.
Thank
Where'd
you.
you go? Because mine sucks, too.
No, she was trash. Didn't give me what I wanted, but it came out fine. But I went, I was like, hey, how you doing? She's like, good. I was like, oh, cool. What's, blah, blah, blah. Trying to, what do you think? This would look good. Trying to joke. And she's like, yeah, whatever you want. And just like shit the whole time and then fucked it up. And
It's because no one wants these jobs.
Well, the funny thing is...
Then don't do
especially
it.
after the pandemic. Like, everyone's like, I don't want this.
yeah, no, that's true. Being
Your
back in the
attitude to
restaurant
surfing
sucks.
was like, I'm just doing this for money. You know what I mean? It's like kind of everyone's attitude now.
Yeah.
But at some point, everyone's going to kind of need money. Like, I think young people also are too socially retarded to work a face-to-face job. People like the people who used to take McDonald's, I don't even think will qualify on a social level
Maybe
anymore.
not, yeah. TikTok has ruined it.
Old people are going to get paid a lot of money to like do face-to-face, high-end concierge. And then they're all going to die and we're just...
Left helpless.
Screwed.
Yeah.
The problem is all of those jobs, the reason you don't give a fuck, you start giving a fuck. You start caring about it. And then you realize how disposable you are.
Yeah, they
You
don't care about you.
Yeah.
You don't care.
Not only that, you realize how few people around you give a fuck, and you're like, well,
Well, that's why.
what am I going to be the only person breaking a sweat here today?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's why it was so hard to get people to go back to work after the lockdown. Like, are restaurants still struggling to hire people, or is it kind
the
of back
whole,
to normal?
every industry's struggling to hire people. I mean,
Yeah, I know it was.
I was having a hard time getting an interview, actually. So I think everybody's trying now. But, yeah, for a while, It was really difficult.
It's like you said, everyone's got to get money eventually.
Yeah, at some point.
Once the government tap runs out. Rob's favorite time ever in his life.
Oh, it's amazing.
Hey,
the
yeah.
lockdown.
The funny thing is, I'm the kind of person that's like, I don't take no fucking handouts. And then when that happened, I was like, well, if you're gonna tell me I can't, like,
can't work?
I
Can't
got
work.
I got a lot of skill sets. I've worked in a lot of industries. I got a lot of plan Bs, and they all fell apart the same fucking way. I mean, honestly, that's why I went further into podcasting. It was just like, well, fucking, this is the only thing I can do. You know what I mean? I worked in events for 10 years, and now events are obsolete, right?
Yeah.
So, it's like, but if you're going to tell me my industry is null and void, I'm going to take your fucking handout, I guess.
Sure.
Like, you're gonna buy me to stay home. You're my employer now. Congrats.
What I found out about myself is that I love taking handouts. One of my favorite things, it turns out.
You're real
taking
good
a
at
handout.
getting them,
Yeah.
too.
I'm great at it. It's usually just the you can get so much free shit if you're just willing to deal with paperwork.
Honestly,
So much
yes.
free shit.
When was the
Yeah.
last time you paid rent? It's been a while, right?
No, not a while.
Oh, really?
But I've gotten many
you get-
months free via pandemic.
Now, does that have to get paid back? Is that a loan? Like, what's that
Nope.
deal?
Totally free.
He didn't work for so long that he was technically in
So,
like
did
the
they
poverty
just-
lines.
But what does that do? Like, who is the landlord getting fucked? Are they giving them like Section 8?
No, they give the
prices?
landlord the money. They just give him money.
We already have socialism.
Communism, yeah.
The reality is though, like when I couldn't get a job for a while, obviously, when it first started. And then the first job I got back was this construction job, and it wasn't it's absurd. Like, dude, they say $15 an hour is like unreasonable. If you live in Minnesota, it's probably too much. But here you can't live in Los Angeles if you don't make $25 an hour minimum. And
No, I
25
mean,
an hour is like
25 an
you'll
hour
be
is
all right.
60 grand a year,
Which
and
is
that's
not enough.
Is not here.
not
It's
enough.
not.
You can have
Yeah.
you can have a roommate definitely on
Yeah.
60 grand.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Ideally, you want 30, and if you're making 30 consistently, maybe you could have a one bedroom. But it should be like calculated via the fucking.
The really funny
economy
thing
you're
is
in.
the skill of labor in this city is is very low for especially like everything is so damn expensive here, but you can't really get quality anything here. I haven't gotten a good haircut here. How did this many gay people live in West Hollywood and I can't get a fucking good haircut?
That's
you know what I
interesting,
mean?
yeah.
Well, you
Like-
can. You
And
just
they're
have to pay
$60.
$300.
Yeah,
But if you want a good
expensive,
one, you
yeah.
got to pay a lot.
Well, I mean, like the cheapest haircuts in Hollywood are 60.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But if you want a real good one,
Yeah.
and that's how they kind of get it. Is like, yeah, you can't because there's so many people doing the same thing, and nobody's job that they do is what they want to do here. No one. There's like 4 guys, but most people like actually I'm a fucking artist or whatever, and so if you want, they do shit work. But if you want to do the guy that actually does that job, because there's so many people doing the same job, they can charge an extraordinary amount of money. And then also there's a lot of rich people here that can afford to pay insane prices for shit.
Well, the funny thing is, this is the town of delusional artists too, because like being an artist has kind of always been associated with, or being an artist, being an athlete, being like an independent athlete, like a fighter or something. Any passionate pursuit has always been extremely closely associated with backbreaking poverty, with the exception of the 3 most famous
2 guys.
ones.
Yeah.
There's one Bill
And they
Burr.
both were dead before they had any money. It's like decades later. Oh, this guy's a brilliant guy.
But I mean, with the number of like dudes who are making $6 grand a year to be MMA fighters and shit, you know what I mean? Like any of those pursuits we all know what we're getting into. We all know the risks. So it is funny that there is such a huge amount of entitled artists in this town.
Because you
It's
have to
like-
have delusion.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Kind of have
required
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
to
kinda have
survive and to want to do it. You have to believe that I could be one of those people.
I
That'd be
have-
funny if you didn't. You're just like, I'll never make money at this, but I'm going to dedicate my life.
That's almost probably a better mindset for your like spirit to like not be crushed constantly.
You know who I think would do the best in this town? People who are like, I just want to make 50 grand a year without having a day job. Those people probably could make their dreams come true. You know what I
Maybe.
mean?
That's a lot, though.
It's hard.
Even
Sure,
doing
but-
that's impossible.
But the thing is it takes a couple of years of fun,
It depends what you're
sleeping on the
talking
floor.
about, I guess.
Yeah.
But like making 50 grand as a stand-up, just doing stand-up.
No, not just. I mean, I'm talking about any artist. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
there are ways. You just got to hack it.
It's all about it's all about.
There's alleyways, and you have kind of a pretty mouth.
Yeah.
so.
Listen, you want to be a star or not, kid?
No, of course. I'll do whatever it
yeah.
takes. Is that what this is now?
Yeah, that's what this is now.
Can we change this podcast to at the end of it, I get tricked into sucking somebody's dick every week, and I keep forgetting?
It's just always mine.
Oh, again.
Speaking of, we're running out of time.
Why don't you tell the people about,
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever you got going on. Instagram, podcast that you do.
Instagram, con.tv, TikTok, con.tv. I do a podcast for 55-year-old women, 35 to 55-year-old women. It's pop culture based. It's called Cover to Cover with Chris Frangiola. I sit second banana.
It's a good banana.
Do all the back end work. If you or someone you love is a 35 to 55-year-old woman or is mildly entertained by reruns of Chelsea Lately, come listen to us.
But if you're outside that age range at all, do not do it.
No.
Sounds amazing.
But
Do
other
not.
than that,
I love that. That's your demographic.
you can catch. That's our podcast demographic.
Is it really?
Yeah, I mean,
so
it's
funny.
but they're a listen.
Dedicated
They
Voracious.
got money.
Hell
They
yeah.
got hubby's money.
Hell
It's
yeah.
a
That's what
no.
we gotta do.
Yeah, you gotta play to the moms,
That's what
dude.
we gotta do.
And they see their son in you a lot. You
Sure.
know what I mean?
Sure.
That's actually a Patreon tier for $1,000 a month. I'll come over once a month.
Pretend
and
to be
you
your
can
son.
See, yeah.
You can make
Since
me
you never
dinner.
see yours.
I'll listen to some fucking nonsense advice you have.
You can lecture me on what I'm doing wrong.
Next week we're gonna do all loofahs. All loofah talk.
Just about loofahs?
Just loofahs.
Okay.
I'll bring in a gaggle of loofahs.
Yeah.
We'll try them. We'll
like
test
a
them.
review thing, yeah.
Loofahs. Loofahs, baby.
All right.
Taking us to
But
the
if
top.
you like the shit we were talking about today, con.tv on Instagram, I got a lot of tons of stuff on there coming up.
Yeah, you got good stuff.
Yeah, we-
Good
Short
stuff.
forms of TikTok style stuff, you know.
We got in it today. We got into some stuff today.
I think we figured it all out.
We
I
had
don't
some
want
good
to
chats.
say that we'll talk outside of school here, but I think we figured it all out, fellas.
Pretty sure we solved
Got
it.
to the butt. Just took 3 white men. That's all it took, which obviously.
For an hour. All we needed was
3
an
white
hour.
guys together for an hour.
And then we
it
figured-
turns out that the real situation is it's all fucked and who
We
won.
hashed it out.
I'm Rob Puglisi at Rob Pug Comic.
Rich Roy Comedy. Sign up, subscribe to our shit, please.
Yeah,
and,
we have
tell
this
people
and
to listen.
the Red Rob Roy Show.
Rob
New
Roy
episode's
Show.
coming out soon. Please watch them. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.